Hello everyone, welcome back. Please comment, rate, subscribe, folks. Comment, rate, subscribe, like the videos. Also share the videos. I want to thank everyone who does like, watch, and share my videos. You folks are the absolute best. Listen folks, there's a link tree down below. Has the links to all of my social media platforms. Please go down there, follow me across all my social media platforms and talk to me because I talk back. Also down there as well as links to all of my YouTube pages. Please go down there, subscribe to all my YouTube pages and turn on your notifications so when I post content, you folks will be in the know. Now with all that said and done and put to the side, I've come to talk to you folks today about Denzel Mims requesting a trade. Wow. This came out of nowhere. We're also going to discuss a little bit about the Jets-Giants joint practice day one. Let me tell you something. Denzel Mims, this has been a real tough, long, winding road with him, okay? And now it looks like he is ready to move on from the Jets. He has requested a trade, and his agent came out today and spoke with the media. Now, I'm going to read this directly to you from his agent, all right? His agent told the media, listen, it's time. It's just time, okay? He said, Denzel has tried in good faith, but it is clear that he does not have a future with the Jets. Denzel vowed to come back better than ever this season, and he's worked extremely hard in the offseason to make that happen. Still, he has been given no opportunities with the starting offense to get a groove with them. We feel at this point that a trade is our only option since the Jets have repeatedly told us they will not release him. Okay. Joe Douglas has always done right by Denzel, and we trust that he will do everything in his power to find another team where Denzel can be a contributor. Denzel wants out of here, man. And you know what's crazy is looking back at some of the things that Denzel Mims has said, particularly in this post practice press conferences. He's been very adamant and passionate about being the number one wide receiver for the New York Jets. He's been very adamant about that. He told the media in one of the post-practice press conferences, they asked him, they said, hey, where do you feel like you stand on this roster? What is your goal? And he looked directly into the camera, directly at the people and said, my goal is to be the Jets' number one wide receiver. That is it. That is my entire goal. That is what I want. End of discussion, period. And it was that, ipso facto, passionate, that's it, right? And so when you read this, you start to get, the sentiment that this has been kind of the feeling for a while. And reports, again, are still surfing. They're starting to come out that he's been venting this frustration to the front office, Joe Douglas, and the staff. He's been telling them, hey, I want to be the Jets' number one wide receiver. I want to compete there, and he's been letting them know. So it's been very well known that this is how he feels, right? Now, if you look at the situation that's been going on here in preseason, the first game, Mims was a 7th wide receiver on the field, all right? In the second game, where we didn't play any starters, he was the 4th wide receiver on the field. So, you look at that situation, you ain't competing for the number one spot, right? But then you also look at the other competition that is raised up behind or around Denzel Mims as well at that wide receiver spot. You got guys putting on. Real talk, okay? Tariq Black, even before the injury, again, we'll figure out what's going on with him as we continue forward. Tariq Black was playing very well in this preseason. So is Jeff Smith. Calvin Jackson Jr. has also been doing his thing out there as well. Mike LaFleur talked about Calvin Jackson Jr. and how he's preparing himself off the field, right, very well, so that when he gets on the field, he knows exactly where he's supposed to be and what he's supposed to do. He knows exactly how to handle business out there. Mike LaFleur talked about him glowingly, all right? And then you got Lawrence Cager, who right now is a tight end, but there's a lot of talk about him being, changed over, his designation being changed back over to wide receiver, where was what he was, what he's been until they changed him to tight end recently. Lawrence Cager has been playing very well this offseason. Very well, okay? This is one of the better off seasons I think we've ever seen from him. Just the last game, he had a 30-something yard TD. He's really moving and handling business out there. He's making plays. Cager literally is a guy, and we've talked about him in the past, a guy that was always a threat to make the roster, but there was injuries, and then he would end up on a practice squad, and it's looking like he's come around, and he probably is going to snatch a roster spot here. If not at tight end, again, because we got 3 tight ends right now with Uzma, Conklin, and Ruckert, right? If not tight end, then they can switch him over and he could be that wide receiver because he's being lined up all over the place anyway. So that competition surrounding him has definitely stepped up, and this is something that we saw already dealing with Denzel Mims too. We were all excited about him coming back because the first year was phenomenal from him. It was phenomenal. We were excited about the athletic ability, the playmaking. He was catching footballs in his first year from Sam Darnold. None of us even thought he would have a chance. But when he slid off a cliff in that second year, right? I know he was dealing with stuff with the illness and all that stuff. But then when it was time for him to come back and really contribute, he wasn't being utilized at all within the offense. Even though the New York Jets wide receiver position was decimated with injuries, he couldn't get on the field much at all, right? And everybody in the fan base was screaming for him. Everybody, including me. And it got to a point where they had to come out publicly and basically tell us, listen, dog, he don't know the playbook, okay? Because he don't know the playbook, we're not going to put him out there. They literally pretty much said that. They came out and publicly said, listen, Denzel does not understand all of the positions he needs to understand out there on the field. So until he understands that, we ain't going to put him out there on the field. And that's what quieted people. And then again, we saw when he was put out there was times we saw drops, we saw penalties. The penalties really were bonehead penalties, false starts, illegal formation, stuff like that. And then, again, even though Denzel Mims wasn't being utilized much at all, decimated with injuries, we saw guys like Tariq Black and DJ Montgomery come off the street, get on the field, get more catches and targets than Denzel Mims. And it was like, that to me spoke volumes. The fact that those guys can come off the street and they trusted them enough to put them out there on the field, but Denzel Mims, fully healthy, is riding the bench. So we were all hoping that we would see, something out of him this season. The road to come back. He'd been working hard in the offseason, but again, he's come back and we've seen some things, but there have been penalties in the preseason as well. Legal formations. He had a drop. I think it was against the Eagles. Against the Falcons, he had 3 catches, 43 yards. But again, Cager had a good game. These guys, everybody around him is stepping up and playing well too, or playing better than he is. Really making more of their opportunities than he's made. And so I understand he wants to compete for the number 1 spot, or he wants to be the Jets' number 1 wide receiver, but a lot of those guys have, honestly, they've put in the work to be there too. So it's going to be a tough situation. You got to wonder what kind of compensation, if Joe Douglas does trade Denzel Mims, what kind of compensation can he get for Denzel? I'm starting to wonder, because a lot of people talk about, well, he was drafted in the second round, you need to get a second rounder back. There have been better wide receivers in this league that have been traded for second rounders. Denzel Mims is nowhere near those guys, okay? So I'm thinking at this point, maybe you get a 6th, 7th, maybe a 5th rounder back. I mean, we got to see, man. I don't know what kind of compensation we can get back. But, I mean, this is Joe Douglas, all right? He got a 6th-round pick for Blake Cashman. That guy never even played for us a full season, right? I think he got a 4th rounder for Chris Herndon. What? So maybe we will get a 2nd rounder for Denzel Mims. Now that I think about it, right? We talk about Joe Douglas. So comment down below. Let me know what you folks think about that situation with Denzel Mims. What are your thoughts about him requesting a trade, and what do you think we could get back for him? Just to cover day 1 of the Jets-Giants joint practice, listen, Garrett Wilson continues to look well, man. He looks really good. Continues to make great catches, can get open. He had a lot of great catches, in practice. Joe Flacco looked good as well. He's making his throws, following through. Like, things are looking pretty solid for us offensively. Defensively, Daniel Jones did kind of have a day against us, all right? But our front did get to him, right? John Franklin Myers, I think, had 2 would-be sacks. Again, they're not drilling people. 2 would-be sacks. Carl Lawson also had a would-be sack as well. So we got some guys putting some pressure on, but we got to clean some things up a little bit because he was, throwing some pitches and catches out there. So it was kind of a mundane, kind of boring day, which is always what you love to hear because there's other teams around this league that are brawling, okay, at joint practices. We do not want that, okay? We just trying to get into the season, make sure everybody's healthy. So that kind of was today's joint practice news. So comment down below. Let me know what you folks think. How do you folks feel about this Denzel Mims trade request? What are your thoughts on the Jets and Giants going out there and just having a, solid kind of mundane practice? Comment down below. Let me know what you folks think. You folks have a good one. Peace.